take a look at... This is the Prologue. Now, the Prologue is this is sort of an analog style synthesizer. This particular analog style synthesizer has 3 oscillators. So right now we're listening to oscillator number 1. It looks like only oscillator number 1 is on. And then you have something called formant. But again, these are all just different types of waveforms that we can use and manipulate. They have vocal source like ahs, ah, there's an A, there's an E. So you have all these different vowel sounds, which you can actually create all kinds of really interesting sounds. Almost like vocal sounds. You have oscillator number 2. Now, right now, what I'm doing is an effect called ring modulation. Ring modulation, notice there's a button right here in the center. This ring modulator, you'll find this on some synthesizers. This harks back to the days of analog synthesizers, modular synthesizers. And what it is it's a circuit that takes the addition and subtraction of 2 different waveforms. So let's say I have one waveform, like oscillator number 1, running at 1,000 hertz, and oscillator 2 is running at 600 hertz. Well, we would take the subtraction of that. 1,000 minus 600 would be 400. And then we would take the addition of that. 1,000 plus 600 would be 1,600. You combine 400 and 1,600 together, and that's your new and improved waveform. Now, using whole numbers like 1,000 and 600, not very, very interesting. Where it gets interesting is where you're getting into when the numbers aren't so even. You're going to get lots of interesting, harsh, metallic-sounding timbres, which is what we're listening to here. So as I adjust the coarse tuning and even the fine tuning, and you can switch between different waveforms, ones that are almost sounds like you're tuning a shortwave radio. Really great for industrial sound. That's your ring modulator. Now I can sync oscillator 2 to oscillator number 1. So you'll notice I'm adjusting oscillator 1, but we're listening to oscillator 2. And we also have something called frequency modulation. I'm using oscillator number 1 to modulate the frequency of oscillator number 2. You also notice on this particular keyboard we have a noise source. We did have this on the monologue. I didn't talk about it. It's up in the oscillator section in the center. All it is introducing white noise, which we can use to some pretty cool effects. A lot of keyboards, even the old vintage analog keyboards, will have noise. It's also used in creating percussion sounds, like a snare drum. Put an envelope on that. And then last but not least, we have oscillator number 3 on this particular synth, which again gives you the same assortment of different sounds. It also allows us to combine all of these different sounds together. And we can sync all of these together as well. Very cool. So right now we're looking at our envelopes. There's actually 4 envelopes that are built into this, and you can switch between them however you want. You have LFOs, which you can assign to multiple destinations. As you can see, you can go through and assign a massive amount of different things in here. You also have drive on your filter. These are our different multi-mode filters. You notice these are our high pass and low pass filters. The low pass, you see 2. That's basically telling you that this is a 2 decibel per octave or a 2-pole filter. Other things in here, you'll see events. There's your modulation wheel. What does that modulation control? What's really cool about this is you can assign your modulation wheel to a number of different parameters. So I can assign it to my filter cutoff. I can assign it to my oscillator pitch. So as I move this, you can do all kinds of fun stuff with that. You notice your aftertouch, where that's being routed to. That's a good example of aftertouch. You'll notice I'm still holding this note down. If I press down, you're going to hear the LFO kick in. Which is pretty cool. And last but not least, one of the cool things I love about this particular synth is its effects matrix. You have all kinds of fun stuff. So you have distortion, tube emulations, tape saturation. You have delay lines. You have phaser and chorus. So if you want to change, there's some phasing effects. There's a flanger effect. These are all modulation effects. Chorusing. Really powerful synth, lots of fun to play with.